Okay, and I'm back. So, like I said in the previous video lecture, I just want to give you a brief tutorial on how to create a Google document. I know many of us are already familiar with this, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. And then the other thing I want to do is explain what your first assignment is. So your first assignment for this week is to create the Google document and share it with me. And here in this video lecture, I'll explain to you what I want you to write about on the first page of your class journal. So to begin, you need to log into your Gmail account. And if you don't already have a Gmail account, obviously you'll need to create one for this class. No big deal. And once you do, once you log into your account, in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a grid for your apps. And then what you want to do is scroll down to Docs. From the Docs page, you want to start a new blank document. In the top left-hand corner, you can go ahead and give this a proper MLA heading. Students will often ask at the beginning of the semester, what format do we need to write in? For this class, always MLA format. So for formal assignments, major papers, in the top left-hand corner, your heading should be your name, followed by the professor or instructor, followed by the class, followed by the date. Okay. And then, like I said in the previous video lecture, all you need to do is separate all of your responses, your assignments with dates and titles. So the title for this first assignment will be Introduction. Actually, forget the introduction. We're going to do something a bit more interesting. Given the circumstances, and I don't get to see your faces, or I don't get to meet you in person this week, I'd like to know a little bit about you. But I know introductions, when we write about ourselves, those things can be very basic and lame. So I think we can kill two birds with one stone by writing about something that says a little bit about who we are. So your first writing assignment will be my definition of success. And the second part will be how Martin Luther King Jr. establishes credibility in his letter. So your first assignment is two parts. You can consider this, we'll say a paragraph for each part of the response. Your first paragraph is, I just want you to give me your definition of success. And that could be anything and everything. You could write about what you feel like makes a person successful, what factors and characteristics play a role in individual success, or maybe you have a definition that's very specific that says something or says a bit about who you are as a person, okay? The second part of your response, or the second paragraph, will be, I want you to read the first letter of Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. And I want you to think about how he establishes credibility with his audience on the first page of that letter. And the link I've given you for his letter gives you a little bit of context at the top. And the context here is Martin Luther King Jr. is writing to 8 clergymen of a church. And if you don't know who clergymen are, they're the officials of a church or the elected members of a church. And so there were some clergymen of a specific church that didn't like Martin Luther King peacefully protesting in the South. And so they wrote this nasty letter about why he needed to leave. And so Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter is in response to the letter that they wrote about him and his presence there being wrong. And so there's a little bit of context for you. Again, as you will see from the beginning of the letter, Martin Luther King Jr. attempts to establish credibility with his audience in a very specific way. So I want you to think about that. How does he establish credibility with his audience in this letter? And that will be the second part of your response for this week. So first page of your journal, we'll just say this response will take up the first page. First paragraph, you will write about your definition of success. Second paragraph, how Martin Luther King Jr. establishes credibility in his letter. And we'll say that just given it being the first week, we'll say this will be due by the end of Friday this week. So your assignment by the end of this week is you should have created a Google document, shared it with me, and in your Google document, the first page, you should have 2 paragraphs that address this writing prompt. Okay. Now, you really should be done with this assignment by Wednesday and Wednesday's lecture, because then what I lecture about will make more sense, so to speak. Or maybe you can compare what you wrote to what I will speak about in Wednesday's lecture. But just again, for this being the first week, I'm going to give you a bit of time to familiarize yourself with submitting work to me. And so I'll give you a little extra time. And I'll say by the end of this Friday, you should have shared your Google document with me. And in the first page, you should have answered the writing prompt where you define success in your terms and you explain how Martin Luther King establishes credibility on the first page of his letter from Birmingham jail. Okay, so last thing, after you give your heading, title for your response, your first assignment, in the top right-hand corner, you have a share button. Okay, so it says before you share, you need to give your document a title. And what I'd like you to do is give your full name in the title of your document. And we'll call it Matthew Lobato's English 101 Journal. Okay, so please put the full name, your full name in the title, and you can title it your English 101 Journal. You hit save. And then it asks you to share it with someone, okay, with people or groups. And so you are going to share it with my Gmail address, not my university email address, my Gmail address, which is Matthew.Lobato, L-O-B as in boy, A-T-O. Be careful with my name. As you know, one letter is off and it doesn't share. So people mess up my name all the time. Lobato, L-O-B as in boy, A-T-O, 55 at gmail.com. So again, Matthew.Lobato55 at gmail.com. You hit done. And now your Google document is shared with me for the rest of the semester. You don't need to send it or share it again. You will keep all of your homework and participation assignments in this same journal. All you need to do is separate your entries with dates and titles. And just to give you an example of what that looks like, here's one of my students from last semester, Courtney Cowles, did really well in my class, had a great journal. And as you can see, she has her heading, she has dates, titles for each entry. Here's her first response. Okay. And then after her response, all you need to do is hit enter once or twice, and you write the next date for the next assignment and a title that goes with that date. Okay, if it's easier for you, if you just want to start a new page in your document for each assignment, if you think that looks better, that's fine. But just again, as long as your written work is professional, it shows effort, organization, just you want to make this look professional, and that's part of what I'm grading you on here too. And as you can see, Courtney's journal is very well organized and professional, and that's what I expect from all of you. Okay, so again, your assignment for this week is 2 parts, just giving me your definition of success, and then leading into Wednesday, I want you to think about and respond to how Martin Luther King Jr. establishes credibility in his letter. If you're not really sure how he does, don't worry about it, because in the lecture to follow, I will explain more how he does that if that's confusing or you're unsure how to answer there. So just try your best if you're unsure. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me for help. If you're having difficulty setting up this document or you have questions about the writing prompt, don't hesitate to ask And again, I look forward to working with you. Best of luck this semester.